let's do this. I don't even know if I'm in frame or not, but this should work. This should work fine. We all here? I think we're all here. Okay, I'm not gonna waste any time. I'm just gonna trust that all of this works. We're using my phone today, so camera's great, fixed all the lighting. It should have also fixed a lot of the sound. Just give me a second to get comfortable. Are we good? Are we good? I think we're good. Okay. As usual, I'm very glad for anyone who's here, anyone who's taken out time to watch this, whether you're watching it live or you are watching it recorded. I'm going to be looking around a lot today. I have a lot of notes for what we're talking about today because it's something that I've been doing for a really long time. I also have my coffee next to me, so I'll be sipping that, and I'm really exhausted, so I'm going to keep checking that this is working, and I have a bunch of anxiety through this entire episode, and I apologize that you have to deal with that, but I really hope you find what I'm talking about today is worth it. So yeah, I'm probably going to cut all of that out in the VOD. Right. Gaming's genuinely got such a bad rep over the years, especially with parents and a large part of the adult population, sadly. But why? I think there's a lot of misconceptions about gaming that people don't quite take the time to look out for or alleviate. Video games have been a huge part of my life since I was very young. I've been playing video games with my brother. We've gone from an 8-bit SEGA to now being on a PS4 and a PS5. Most people usually look at gaming as just a way to waste time or escape reality, but for me and for a lot of others, I'm sure it's so much more. I feel like people genuinely find it hard to accept that a human being can be happy simply just being immersed alone or playing like remote with friends for hours on end and not need anything else for those moments. But what makes our little gamer community love it so much, that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. What makes it different from other hobbies, what makes it different from doing any other activities. So that's what we're discussing today on another episode of Ninja Thinks No One Cares with me, Ninja, where we try and make sense of some heavy stuff in a chill way and talk about it even if no one cares. So today I've got 4 reasons why I believe gaming can improve life a lot. They are better decision making, 1. Definitely emotional depth through storylines, themes like love, loss, kindness, acceptance. I feel like we learn a lot of that when we game. The third one is, of course, gaming as a de-stressor and a source of joy. And then finally, we're going to talk about social gaming and how it's helped either extroverts or introverts to deal with life, in what way and during what times, and how it kind of brings you out of a lot of hardships. I deeply believe gaming has made me a better person and an adult in more ways than just the stuff I mentioned, But I think let's just try and stick to the plan for today, because that's what makes these videos, I think, easier to watch. I'm gonna sip on some coffee before we start. Man, I need to do an episode. Sorry. I need to do an episode just on how important coffee is to my life. I think I'll do that at some point. I think I want to do that over coffee with a couple of people. So if you ever want to be on this episode having a coffee with me, or, you know, an episode in the future, I mean, let me know. Okay. Better decision making. That's the first one we're going to talk about. Have you ever played a lot of role-based or character-based or story-based games? That's my main genre. I love playing a lot of solo games, things that go on for like 100 hours and stuff like that. Mainly action-adventure games. What I love about them is that they often take you through the journey or the life of a particular character or person or multiple people. You walk in their shoes from anywhere between just like an hour or 2 hours to, like I said, games that are 100 plus hours long. Or you're like me, ADHD, love doing the side missions, and then a 60-hour game becomes a 120-hour game. And I don't mind. It sounds insane, but I like it. I think a lot of that for me is just the fact that you're able to live someone else's life, like actually live it, not just reading a book where everything's kind of written down, or watching a movie where, you know, someone's written it and someone's showing you what somebody else's life is like and you're just kind of absorbing. But you're actually able to live someone else's life, choose different things through the journey, understand different circumstances, repercussions of different actions, consequences of things happening, things that you can control, can't control. And then you have the choice to take risks or play it safe when you don't really need to personally be affected by that outcome. Like, your reality is not changing, it's just what's happening in the game that's changing, right? Though I'll admit, it is fucking frustrating to respawn 1900,000,000 times because you keep dying and don't know whether it's the upgrades or it's a skill issue. But let's not talk about me. Back to the subject. A lot of these games have options. Okay, so either you gradually make decisions through the games for the character, and then some outcomes change, or you have to make like really quick decisions and think on your feet and be very attentive to what you're choosing because you only have a few seconds to do it. I feel like that gives a much better training almost for real life situations, where on some days you need to make quick, like, split second decisions, and then some days you realize, oh my god, the sum of all these decisions that I've made over the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years is what's led me to this point and this outcome and this circumstance and this result. Sure, it's not really going to be the same kind of decision making that you do in real life. In real life, your decisions could also affect other people. You kind of see that in the games as well, the way your decisions affect the other characters or affect like your surroundings, affect your build, for example. So what your character has, all the weapons that you choose, the powers that you choose, or if you're playing like a game that kind of mimics real life, then you can customize that also to a certain extent. But it kind of is a nice way to see how things unfold through those decisions, rather than just, you know, this fucking real life where you're just living life and waking up every day and you have this one existence and you just wake up and wing it. Right? So I mean, yeah, real life is not just, whether to take the left tunnel or the right path through a deep dark forest. But those could be metaphors, or you could actually be doing something in your life where you do have to make those decisions. So you will end up putting yourself in situations where you need to trust yourself, you need to trust the decisions that you choose. You then need to have the grit and the determination to stick to what you've chosen. Right? So in games, you've got to do a lot of customization right at the beginning. You have to make a lot of choices when you start off. And then once you choose, you have to see it out and play that game until the end. And sure, you might have points where you can kind of move around those customizations, but mostly you have to stick to a lot of decisions until the end. And even if you change those customizations, you yourself, while playing, you have to learn new skills depending on what you chose. Or even in the game, there's a learning curve for every new thing that's being introduced. So if you game daily, if you're a gamer in general, and you play all the time, you will end up doing this all the time. Gamers do this daily. Even if you're playing the same game over and over again, it's very likely you won't have the same experience every time. You won't make the same decisions every time, and something will change as you go on and keep playing it. So video games force you to make these micro decisions as well as big decisions constantly. And from my research, I can see that this is very massively science-backed. A study I read through by the NIH in the US found that kids who played 3 or more hours of video games daily showed a lot of better cognitive performance, particularly when it came to muscle memory, impulse control, decision making, and just basic choice. It's not just in like these slow-paced, story-based games, but fast-paced games tend to train your brain to assess, adapt, and act. That's something we tend to have to do all the time, every day, because there's so much in our lives that we can't really control. And gamers tend to show greater activity in parts of the brain that are responsible for attention and decision making. For me, and I'll get to this later, but when I'm gaming, I'm suddenly not ADHD. And ADHD, I mean, it's completely like self-diagnosed, but I can tell that I'm so much more attentive and I'm able to assimilate a lot more information while I'm gaming than I do in real life. And I feel like that really translates to real life for me, where the ability to process information and react to unexpected events just gets better with every session or every time I play. And I think that also helps me in real life as well. So even practicing a game repeatedly just tends to make you better at many other things. You tend to see the merit also in practice and doing things repeatedly, and actually reinforce the fact that there can be immediate results. There can also be long-term results to that practice or that repetition through the game. What's beautiful to me is that the gaming industry has now seen a big rise of these mid-budget kind of indie games. They rated double A games, basically. They're not really big budget games. They're not totally, solo indie games, but they're somewhere in the middle. There's a game everyone's playing right now that's quite popular. It's called Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And I've been watching a lot of streams of that. It's only available on Steam and on PC, and I'm not a PC gamer. I'm mainly a console gamer, so I haven't really played it. But another game that I have played that's kind of like that, it's published by Focus Home Interactive. I don't know if you've heard of them. and developed by Don't Not Entertainment. It's a game called Vampire, and it's pretty cool. You can play it on the console, you can play it on any device, I think. Where you kind of play as a doctor turned vampire and have to make these deep choices between good and evil. I believe Clair Obscur is kind of like that as well. A lot of games that are story based and character based are like that. These games are specifically designed with so many different choices as you go ahead and play the game that end up affecting your gameplay. It affects your character development, it affects short and long term outcomes within the game, it changes game endings. So there are some games where you've got like 33 different ways to end the game. I think it's insane. Like, whoever's making these games has to have such an insane imagination to think of all the different permutation combinations and choices and options for them to give you and that you can make to actually build these game endings. And then in addition to that, there's so much in-game choice that you can make, like powers, weapons, armor, hair color, clothes, different types of builds. If you want to be like, some games allow you to be a sorcerer, some games allow you to be an assassin, some games allow you to be a samurai. It's really, really very fun. Makes the experience of playing so enriching. So all of this encourages players to think critically, like, how will this affect me later, how will that affect me later, rather than just the usual button mash, which most people think gaming is. It's not, man. Gaming is not just button mashing. Gaming is fun. There's so much real life stuff within games, even if they're completely fantastical, that's there to explore. But at the same time, being the gamer that I am, I would also not, shit on button mashers. Some of them are fucking great. And I'll get to that later as well. So yeah, gaming might actually make your brain faster. It'll help you make your choices sharper. If you've got a game that you thought of while I was talking about all of this, please share it in the comments. I'm also quickly going to take this time to ask you to like, share, subscribe if you're enjoying watching these episodes every week, because after this I'm going to deep dive into a little more serious conversation and some heavy stuff. So brace yourself. I give you a few seconds to click the buttons. I'm also gonna have some coffee. If you need to take a sip of something, if you need to drink water, please drink water. Take this as your reminder to drink some water. You should be drinking at least 3 to 4 liters of water a day if you're playing sport, even if it's recreational sport or you're out in the heat. And right now it's really muggy and cloudy and humid. So hydrate yourself. Yeah, I know coffee is hydrating but also dehydrating, but like I said, coffee episode another time. Okay. One of the big things that has changed my life through gaming is how gaming deals with a lot of big, complex thoughts and emotions and heavy subjects that you sometimes don't really find the right people to talk to about a lot of this and get that perspective. Also, like I said, with real life, you're kind of thrown into the deep end without any training or practice or like a manual. It would be nice if life came with a fucking manual. Although there is a particular gender where majority of the gender will not read the manual even if life came with the manual, and I'm not going to tell you what gender that is, but you decide for yourself. Yeah, some of the most profound emotional experiences I've had actually have come from games. I don't know if that's great or that's sad, but it's very much true. Some games really make you form a deep connection or a bond with your character or another character in the game. And maybe some other characters you end up coming across you can really like deeply relate to. For me, it's always been games like Assassin's Creed, God of War, The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Uncharted. Games like this made me connect very deeply with characters and everything that they went through, how they dealt with death, loss, responsibility, navigating a lot of their lives, being the kind of people that they are. I think it became very easy, not very easy, but it became a lot easier for me to deal with a lot of heavy shit because I kind of saw how other characters dealt with heavy shit through games. Books do the same thing, movies do the same thing too. I think movies, TV shows, books, comics, they all give you this little window into other characters' lives, people's lives, and that can teach you a lot of it. But when you're gaming, you're actually making the choices as that character, and I feel that makes it very different. You build this bond, you almost feel like you are the character, and you're feeling that level of loss to some extent, like to a certain percentage. So these games have left like a huge impact on me, especially the God of War games. I think the first God of War game I played, it immediately became my favorite game. And I think the best one I've played so far is God of War 3. It was massive to see how rage, revenge, violence was fun, I'll admit, but also how it just destroyed everything and it ruined the world that we live in. I'm not going to tell you any more than that. I would like you to play the game. Let me know if you've played the game, what you think of it. But that's what it was for me. You just go through so much playing these games that you get to deal with these situations and emotions. You may never experience them in real life. You may experience them sometimes, but you never know. You can't see into the future, and I think I would just rather be somewhat prepared for it, or at least have some idea as to who I am when I have to make these decisions. I like that games force you to explore themes like death, loss, mental health issues, all the stuff that for some reason, even though there's so much information out there and so many people seem to be talking about these topics, I feel like we're not talking about them deep enough. I feel like we're just not addressing them in the right way. I feel like there's a lot of shit information. There's more shit information out there about mental health and loss and how to, talk to or deal with somebody going through something. And yeah, I feel like there are much better ways to deal with it. I feel like I've learned a lot of that through gaming, also through other people in my life. But I've noticed that other gamers, when I speak to other gamers about stuff like this, like heavy stuff, they don't shy away from it. I have never heard, like my close friends who are gamers, I've never ever heard them say, oh, this is really a downer conversation, or, we should talk about something else. Gamers do not mind talking about the deep stuff. More often than not, I would say. I don't really want to generalize, but this has been my experience. They're very comfortable talking about it because they've been through it, and usually, even in their minds, they're relating it to either a real life experience or a game that's taken them through those kind of hardships or choices and prepared them for dealing with that in real life. Things basically like themes, topics, and situations basically that require a lot of soul searching and introspection and exploring different types of relationships in ways that feel very, very personal. Sometimes doing that through a game is a lot nicer than doing that with another person in real life because there are moments where you want to say things and you may not know how that affects somebody else, but you're playing a game and you see this character saying it, or you choose as the character to say it, and the other person gets deeply offended because of the type of person that they are or what they're going through in their lives. And it's nicer to do it that way and learn, oh my god, I was really rude, I was really mean, that I shouldn't have done that in the game, versus having to do it with somebody in real life, right? Even with the idea of death and loss, like you're not just watching somebody deal with grief in a game, you're kind of dealing with it yourself. And to some extent, because of how invested you are in the game, how relatable that situation is to something that you've been through, it kind of shows you in a way who you are or what you may do in that similar situation. So it is deeply cathartic, man, and also like a really good way for me to prepare for who I want to be in a tough situation. Who do I want to be a year from now? Who do I want to be if I ever have to deal with this level of loss or anger or rage or desire for, destruction, self-destruction, external destruction, whatever it is, we all have these intrusive thoughts. You end up kind of dealing with a lot of this yourself. What I really like about that is it also teaches me then what decisions I would want to make in that moment. And if I make those decisions in that moment, what consequences it might have. Does it mean that, falling apart would lead to self-destruction? Does it mean that if I fly into a rage that I will affect so many people through my anger and so on? Versus like what life looks like if I choose a different path, a different life, a different choice, a better way out, another way out, and how those things move me to the next level in the game, move me to the next level in my life, move me to the next level even just in my own head. And I love how, like, the reason I mentioned a lot of game developers also before is that I just love how dedicated these game devs are, especially the writers too. So many games are intentionally written with this emotional complexity for different characters or for your character as well. Even games that you feel like these button mashers that you feel are really dumb do have some amount of story and complexity to them. So like Mortal Kombat also has a backstory of good versus evil with a lot of complexity of good people doing evil things and evil people becoming good for like a deeper reason. And there are some intense themes as well that kind of play out through these games, like diversity, equality, political downfall, social issues, loneliness, isolation, tyrannical rule, and generally, horrible, cruel characters, and what the outcome is because of the way that they are. I've also noticed that gamers often report a lot higher empathy and emotional resilience after playing a lot of these games. Again, it's a bit of both. Like, I've seen this through some research that I've done as well. I've also seen it when talking to my friends who game. I just feel like they know the difference between, okay, I wake up and I have to do this, like I have to go down this path because I have to reach the end of this, versus not doing it and facing the consequences, not being happy, and seeing that the sum of your choices or the sum of the lack of choices kind of really, really can affect you at the end of your life or a few years from now even. There is also some amount of research I've done where your kind of mentality and your mindset develops a lot because you repeatedly confront a lot of heavy emotions, but you're practicing it almost in a safe, like interactive environment, right? Because games are just simulated environment. Uh, and doing it first in a safe space, doing it repeatedly in a safe space, really helps you process those feelings in real life. So, I don't know if you'd agree that gaming is therapy. I believe that it's very much a form of therapy, and even if it's not therapy, I would look at gaming as a tool, and I would look at it as a very, very meaningful one. There are a lot of different games that are based on a lot of these different complex themes. And I would encourage you, if you're going through something right now, if you've been through something in your life that you feel like you haven't fully dealt with, you really want to find a different perspective or a different way of dealing with it, I would genuinely encourage you to find a game that would help you to deal with that. If you can't find a game for yourself to help you deal with something, you know where the comments are. You can drop it in the comments. You can drop it in chat. If you're watching this live, I will catch up with that kind of at the end of going through this entire talk. But yeah, I really hope if you're not a gamer that you do give it a shot and you see whether it's for you and if it's an activity that could really help you with everything you're going through in life. And if you are a gamer, then you kind of already know what I'm talking about. But I hope this encourages you to find a game that's different from what you've genuinely enjoyed playing, and maybe you enjoy a new genre. A lot of gaming and a lot of using games as tools is deeply connected to kind of decreasing stress for me. It's very much part of me unwinding at the end of a tough day or a tough week. Even if I'm not stressed out or I'm not going through something very difficult, I find that it is also a very deep source of joy for me to play beautiful, fun, exciting games. If you haven't already, I have a Twitch channel as well where I do a lot of my gaming because it's just easier to stream from my console to Twitch. I know I can do it on YouTube, but I've tried a bunch of times and it just keeps disconnecting. I don't know why. It's only Twitch that kind of stays on for hours and hours. So check out my Twitch and you can see a couple of the games that I've been playing before. But I truly agree with the fact that it helps with stress and it's very, very much a source of happiness for me. I don't even think I need to convince you of this because, oh my fucking god, how many hours of Candy Crush and Plants vs. Zombies do people have to actually play for me to really make my point? Okay, even if it's not that, fucking Flappy Bird. Flappy Bird was one of the most stressful games and people still fucking played it in the middle of their day while being so stressed out all the time. And I can 100% guarantee you that it distracted them enough from their shitty lives. And that's why they just played it and got so addicted to it all the time. This is also a big reason why I didn't want to shit on button mashers. I really feel like button mashers and hack and slash games or shoot 'em up games do so well with gamers, because even though you're like screaming and ready to kind of throw your controller out of the window while playing, you know, Counter-Strike or Battlegrounds or Fortnite or even FIFA, playing these games really just takes away stress, man, and it just makes you happy at the end of it. All your anger just comes out in, again, like a safe and fun and, you know, constantly adapting, constantly changing environment. On my Game Boy Advance, I used to play hours and hours of like Need for Speed or Pokemon Gold Red, whatever. It was so calming and soothing, especially in the middle of like exams and, you know, this test and that test and your parents shouting at you and oh, you're just trying to, break away from all the things that make real life, and exhausting. So while also being like really hectic and forcing me to make all these micro decisions every second, it just really helped me cut off from everything and like enjoy speeding through lanes on different maps and racing and winning and losing and whatever, and meeting different characters and having different Pokemon and stuff like that. And this is also one thing that is just generally backed by science. Video games have for a long time been proven to reduce stress and improve mood. In fact, I even read somewhere that 75% of gamers in a global report said that gaming helps them manage anxiety and genuinely feel better mentally. So even playing simple games like Tetris or Asteroids have been shown to decrease the adverse effects of PTSD symptoms and give the brain something constructive and distracting to do when you're feeling anxious or when you're having really upsetting thoughts. I, again, can't speak for other people, but when I game, I tend to enter this flow state. It's the same state I'm in if I'm painting, drawing, reading, playing football, basically engaging deeply in an activity. And in those moments, like time just completely disappears and I am fully focused. And I can be in that zone for hours. I can be in that zone with work for like 8 to 10 hours. I've even done it while working with one of my closest friends a long time ago. We've sat and we've been in that state for 12 to 14 hours at a stretch, just working. And I feel one of the only things I can do that with is gaming. Like I said earlier as well, like it feels like it's the time that I'm the least ADHD and distractible. It's a combination of both escape and meditation for me, to be able to kind of get like fully immersed into a game. It always helps me feel so much better about all the shit that's going on in my life or everything that's going on in the world, because A, I feel better equipped to deal with it. B, I have a few hours of my life where I'm just not living in this reality. I'm in a completely different one. And I can live through it and experience things through it and learn through it. It just makes me feel like, let me just transport myself somewhere else mentally for a while, feel new feelings, change my perspective, look through things through somebody else's lens, walk in somebody else's shoes, and then come back to reality, and then I'll come back and deal with reality. It's fine. Right? So that's been a real blessing for me, especially when I had this really bad burnout phase a few years ago. I actually tend to go through burnout a lot because of how I am as a person when I work. But my worst one was just before COVID. And honestly, for me, COVID couldn't have come at a better time. What happened through COVID to the world sucked. I think all of us can agree with that. But for me personally, through COVID, it gave me the opportunity to have this time to myself, to really do this kind of deep introspection, to sit and game for hours, to game to relax, to game to build experience, to game to feel like I was in the outside world in spite of being in lockdown. And I'm really glad that the part of my life that I was in, the situation in my life that I was in at that time, and the people who were in my life at that time, I'm very grateful that they were there, because it was a very close friend of mine, a new friend that I had made, and then his friends, his very close friends, who convinced me and encouraged me to get back to gaming. I hadn't played on a console for maybe more than 5 or 6 years at that point. And I didn't do it because I wanted to go, uh, do my master's, focus on my studies. I moved countries. I moved across to 3 countries at the time, and then kind of settling somewhere for a bit, and then reconnecting with gaming almost felt like reconnecting with myself, and it became a huge piece of joy to me. It became a huge way for me to assimilate, introspect, understand, and accept what was going on with me at that time. And I cannot tell you how grateful I was to be able to game again, to the extent that I feel like now I owe so much to that moment, that the PS4 that I bought, even though I have a PS5, I still have with me. I don't think I will ever sell it. I think I'm going to keep my this PS4 with me, because I almost feel like at that time it saved my life. I used to game on it so much that was when I bought these glasses. I started getting massive headaches from looking at screens, especially if I was tired, if I hadn't slept well, and because of the burnout that I was in, I used to get very, very bad sleep. So, also the reason why I'm wearing these glasses today, I'm very tired. I've had a lot of headaches. I have not been able to game for 2-3 days, but I did want to stream and do this stream to talk about it. I really, really recommend getting blue light glasses if you game at night or if you game for more than 6 to 8 hours. I cannot tell you how much it's helped with not eye strain or anything like that. I don't think there's any scientific research that says blue light glasses help with eye strain. I think it's just if you have a number, you need to wear glasses because that could strain your eyes. But the blue light filter really helps with my circadian rhythm. I don't know if it affects other people. There's a lot of research out on it. You can do your own research. But I find that it really helps me, even if it's just me telling myself that I'll sleep better through the day and then actually sleeping better. But coming back to what we're talking about, for me, the best part of this joy and this de-stressing that I get from gaming is that it's an activity that I can engage with where I don't constantly feel that pressure of competition. The joy from gaming is suddenly just not about competition. It's actually the same kind of mindset that I have when I play recreational sports. So when I'm not playing my matches or I'm not in season, it just allows me to not go out, but pick up my controller and try new things every day, learn something new, brush up some skills, retrain my brain for certain things. Like every game just feels like I'm living a new life. Every day in the game is a new situation. Every day in real life may be a new game. So it's a new story, it's new characters, it's new perspectives. And I think it's the only thing that truly keeps up with my level of curiosity and thirst for learning. I'm an insanely curious person. I geek out, nerd out on everything, anything. I could watch like 10.5 hours of lectures on quantum physics. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe that's why I don't sleep well. But yeah, that's just who I am. But I'll admit, of late, I've been playing a lot of these chilled out, cozy games like Spiritfarer, Stardew Valley, Unpacking. There's another cute game called Dinkum that I just discovered through some streamers that I watch. They're all games that are hot trending right now, but they're trending mainly because even these non-competitive solo chill games can bring so much relaxation and joy. I truly don't think you need that like hardcore adrenaline and aggression that most people think gamers have or you have to have as a gamer for gaming to feel good for you. Actually, honestly, uh, you just need a device. You just need like a phone or an iPad, laptop, console, or like even one of those tiny old school 999 games in one, like, you know, battery operated handheld portable game consoles. Fuck man, access to gaming's become too easy and too readily available. But I genuinely think like any of those, if you have any of those to game on, you will find that there is a lot of joy that you can get from a game if you find the games that you do genuinely enjoy. For me, I enjoy, like I said, playing these solo games the most, where I'm just, running around free roam like a psycho through unnecessarily large maps with missions and hidden loot and puzzles and side missions. Um, but on the occasion, I've now learned to love playing a few social games. Sometimes I think it really satisfies my mild weekly need for social connection without the requirement of real physical human interaction because humans are smelly. But people are nice. People are nice, and I've noticed that gaming has genuinely helped me build a sense of community. It also helps me see how gaming brings joy to other people, and that sense of community and sense of building that tribe also brings a lot of joy. And that's the last bit that I want to talk about with gaming, which is this social gaming aspect and connecting with people. I tend to watch way too many hours of gamers streaming on YouTube and Twitch. I really enjoy it. For me, it's like sitting with a group of friends and watching somebody game or gaming with them. It's not like that for a lot of people. I've met a lot of people who don't understand this side of me, which is fine. But I've seen these gamer communities and these streamer communities that they build, and wow, man, like some of these gamer communities are so wholesome. They're a bunch of really, really wholesome people, and it's insane that you can be anywhere in the world and game and stream and bring people from every single different continent together. Uh, I think, yeah, sure. I know I'm looking at it only from one perspective. There are communities that are super, super wholesome, but there are also communities, and there are some games where people can get really fucking nasty. There's a lot of bullying that happens through games. There's a lot of horrible people out there in general, but I think that's real life too, right? I think you just have to find your community, your vibe, your tribe. And when you do encounter shitty people, it just depends on how you deal with it. Again, for me, I've learned that as well through gaming, and it's made a big difference to how I judge people and the kind of people that I choose to have in my life, and how easy it is now for me to also just very kindly say, I don't want you in my life, and even if I'm alone or even if I have to build my friend circle up from scratch, I've done it so much through games that I'm very comfortable doing it. It's tough, it sucks. I'll feel that sense of loss. It will be a little bit shitty and painful, but I'll deal with it. So, a lot of these multiplayer games I find gave me a way to connect with people, talk, build, laugh a lot with a lot of my friends, even when we were all physically alone. That's why the gaming industry saw this huge boom during COVID as well, right? Uh, I also feel like whatever social anxiety we've developed because of COVID, gaming really helped reduce that social anxiety. You kind of learn to reconnect with people or just connect with new people without the pressure of um, small talk, and without feeling like, oh, is this person gonna like me, or am I gonna like this person? Or sometimes, man, I've seen people just freak out about eye contact. You just don't want to make eye contact with people. You just want to stare at your shoes. There's a whole genre of music based around, people enjoying that type of music and dancing while staring at their shoes. It's called shoegaze. No one listens to shoegaze anymore, which I find is really sad. I think I should do an episode also about all the genres of music that people don't care about, like ska. I feel like more people should care about ska and shoegaze. But anyway, it's a huge way. Gaming can be a huge way in that sense. Also, to learn to express yourself, to be kind of comfortable with yourself, and also discover different groups of like minded people without having that pressure, and all kind of based around a common activity or your personal preference. So it really actually at the end of the day doesn't matter what game you're playing, whether you're teaming up to play stuff like Fortnite, Apex Legends, uh, I don't know, even like build games, like Minecraft, Roblox. Roblox is actually just social and there's a whole bunch of different random games on it and it's fun. Um, or just stupid games, man, that like keep coming up but then going out of trend and stuff like that, like Plate Up or Overcooked, where you and a bunch of friends just have to cook stuff and it's absolute chaos in a kitchen. So yeah, it doesn't matter what type of game it is. It will connect you to other people. It'll connect you with yourself. It is very much a fun way to introspect. It's very much a fun way to learn or to go back to learning what gets you in that flow state. It is very much deep meditation for me. It is very much also a part of being social to the extent that you want to be social and help you build the community that you want to build. I think putting a lot of this together, the one conclusion that I drew from even just sitting and thinking about this was that gaming is, yes, definitely it can be a source of healing. Whatever trauma you've been through, whatever tough times you've been through, whatever you're going through right now, whatever people end up putting you through, whatever this cruel, shitty, capitalist, fucked up world throws at you, gaming will also throw at you at some point. So it kind of transcends just being an activity or a hobby. Gaming opens up an entire universe that teaches you, it challenges you, it helps you open your mind up to joy, to pain, to people, to death, to loss, to yourself. I genuinely think that people really need to start talking about these things, these themes, these topics, these subjects with a much more open mind and open heart. And even though gaming is really, really just fun, like it's pure fun, it's also real life prep. Where else would you get to do real life prep? Where else do you learn decision making before actually like living your life and having to make decisions? Where do you learn resilience? Where do you learn emotional intelligence? There are a lot of people who lose a lot of their families at a really early age. I feel like gaming can be very cathartic if that's the case. if you have had transformational phases in your life, losing jobs, changing career paths, changing friends groups, disagreements with your own family, them understanding you, not understanding you, I feel like gaming kind of teaches you how to express yourself through all of that, and that you're not alone. There is a game dev sitting somewhere, there is a game writer sitting somewhere that has put that shit into a game because they fucking experienced it for themselves, and now there's this character living out like 60, 80, 100 hours of this game, going through the same emotional shit that we're all going through. It's just so reassuring. So yeah, maybe gaming isn't for everyone. I'm not saying it is. I don't want to force anybody to game, but I really think for those who get it, or for those who want to try it, it can definitely make us better. If you feel like you relate to any of this, if you feel like you have stories as well about how games helped you, I would genuinely love to hear it. I am very curious about what people think and how they experience these things that's different from me. It would be great if you could drop in a comment, subscribe to the channel. Please share this with somebody, especially if somebody thinks games are just a fucking waste of time, or like if you know people whose parents are, like, oh, don't play video games, oh my god, you'll go and kill somebody, or these kids are so violent these days because they like playing all these shooting games. Man, if you know parents like that and you know people like that, fucking share this with them. Share this with them, because I hate those people. Those are the same people. It's that same energy of, oh, don't misbehave, otherwise I'll tell that neighbor's dog to bite you. I hate people like that. There is no reality, okay? And there is no like scientific evidence anywhere to show that gaming directly forces or convinces somebody that violence or bad actions are good and should be done. If that's the case, it is just basically uncovered somebody's deeper, mental health issues, man, and that person just really needs to go see a therapist. Take that person to a psychiatrist. Get them some help. If anything, it will expose somebody for who they really are. And I think people really deeply need to be exposed for who they really are, man. Like, it's about time. Like, there are some people who are just fucked up, and we need to find those people and get rid of those people. Those people need help. They need to be helped. They need to improve themselves and become better. And games are not a waste of time. Games are good for you. Some games also make me a bucket of rage, and then I throw shit and I want to punch stuff, but never another person. I'm not violent because of my games. Okay, just that entire rant was just me ranting, and I don't totally mean all of that, but there is a lot of evidence and there is a lot of research that games are actually really cathartic, and that if you do have a lot of anger and a lot of pent-up rage and the desire for revenge, I genuinely think you should take that out in a game than on a real person or on real people. And yeah, that is all I have to say about this. And I can see that I have a very old friend who is kind of hanging around and chatting with me. And I'm sorry, Suyash, I did not want to break my flow, because if I broke it, I'd get very distracted and then I wouldn't be able to come back. And then I do a lot more pausing and hesitating than I have already done. So I'm just going to read what you've said. You just asked me if I have ever played Soma. I have not played it, but I have seen a lot of playthroughs of it. I love Soma. I genuinely hate playing horror games. I can't handle those like jump scares and stuff like that. The reason I game is to remove my anxiety. You know what I mean? I play enough games that also cause anxiety. So no, I love Soma. I love how the devs have made the game. I have watched a lot of it being streamed, but I have not played Soma. But it's a great game. Every time I am heartbreaking, I retreat to gaming just to not think about anything. It works, helps loads. Yes, I fucking agree with you, man. Like, I gamed through the loss of a lot of people and a lot of my cats. Actually, it really helped me deal with that loss and kind of taught me what to focus on that's important when you go through that loss, and that I don't think there's any like recovery for loss. Uh, when you lose someone or when you lose something and you grieve, there is a time period for grieving, but that sense of loss or that void that it creates within you doesn't go away. I think God of War was the first game where like you start the game itself with this deep, huge, massive loss, and you've caused that loss, and you also have to deal with the fact that it's because of you, but also because of external circumstances that are completely out of your control that led you to act in a certain way and have caused that loss. And then you just have to play that whole fucking game. You just have to sit through all of that and watch this character go through heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak, but still be this grumpy, monotonous, growly, stoic, detached, macho guy. I fucking love Kratos. Kratos is so opposite of who I am, but has taught me so much about how to be. But yeah, I get you. I get too competitive with everything as well, not just gaming. So I completely feel that. I totally relate. But it's nice sometimes because of that to play games where you're not like competing with anything. To be honest, I don't know if you've played Unpacking, but I was playing Unpacking for a little bit, like just to see what the game was, because again, I saw a lot of people playing it. While playing that fucking game also, I wanted my room to look the best. So even there is internal competition. And then after playing Unpacking, I realized I was looking around at my actual room. And then I wanted my room to look better. And I was like, oh my God, I have to make my room look better than it was before, because this has to change and that has to change. And this can be better and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, man, fucking, we're all like that, dude. We are all like that. And being a dad, that was so hardcore. I'm guessing you're talking about Kratos. Yeah, Kratos being a dad was funny as fuck. I will, as much as God of War 3 is my favorite one out of all of them, I think Ragnarok was just insane. I did not think it was the last thing I thought the game devs would do to him, was to make him an emotional fucking dad. But it was cute. I don't think I have ever said Kratos is cute as much as I did while playing Ragnarok and yeah, the new God of War. God of War and God of War Ragnarok. Yeah. But yeah, I think we have talked about very heavy shit today. I think this is going to be the longest episode, and rightly so. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks everyone for watching. I know right now there's only only one people is watching this. Sorry, Guju Tourette's. Sorry, friends. But yeah, thank you to the one person watching this. Thank you to everybody who's joined me across all my episodes. Please check out the other episodes when you get time. please share the channel because I'm trying to build just a nice little cute, sweet, friendly community of people for me to hang out with whenever I like to have midweek existential crises. And that's it. I'll see you at the next existential crisis that I have, which will also be on Thursday next week. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing these like weird hand gestures, but yeah, ninja out. See you later.